What's up, everybody? So this week has got me feeling like society is nothing more than a feudal colony. We're gathered in these centers where we work for powerful, receive few of the benefit, actually receive increasingly less of a benefit, but this changes none of our obligations. And so as a result, we are powerless as in a feudal society. We're accustomed to glorifying valor, controlled valor, sports valor, people with limited control over societal outcomes, people who participate in a simulated battle for pleasure, for bloodlust. It's the craziest thing to think about how these athletes, so many of the major athletes, can be easily discarded at the end of a career. These people can be thrown away like garbage. And in some sports, they are compensated very well. Who knows the reasons why they've been compensated well in light of all that we know about society and the way the society has been compromised? Who knows why they have been continually compensated well, even as others are thrown out of the sport, even as other talented people do not have access to participate in these said sports. What is it that elevates one above another when it comes to competition? Because it doesn't really seem like we're looking for the most talented, the hardest working, even the most so-called righteous people. It doesn't seem like that at all. So what is it that people are really gaining? And so then when you look at a feudal society, the power projects downward. That means you've got people here who are subjects to that power so that they can feed themselves and their families. That means you have people out here willing to do terrible, terrible things to other people because they get paid to do it. It's their job. They get paid to do it. It's their job. And so that means the world is continually evil in a way. People are getting paid to do terrible things to one another for work because of our limited creativity, because of the way that creativity can be limited in our economy. I grew up watching nearly every cartoon under the sun. And one of the things that all of this animation has led me to believe is that villains only exist in cartoons. World domination plans only exist in cartoons. The maniacal laughing man, that's just a cartoon. That plot to take over the world, that's just a silly idea. And we've been groomed so deeply to believe that nobody could be against our interests. And yet they are. You look at these recent files released from the US government, and it just makes the world seem like a cartoon. It makes the world seem like a cartoon. And so what are we to expect from a society that actually is run like a cartoon? When society is run as in a cartoon, the question becomes, what is the law? Is the law also a cartoon? Is the law also an animation, so to say? One of the things that we've learned about society in general is that if you have enough resource, you can circumvent accountability. You can live life in a way that not only subjects others to your authority, and so to speak, but also allows a person of resource to dictate cultural norms, whether or not those cultural norms are good or bad, right? They get to establish what is good, essentially. So now they're establishing the laws of goodness. Does that make sense to anybody? I thought the laws were established through representation. So I'm really not understanding this whole thing. What is the law? Are we in a feudal society with lords and counts and earls who are allowed to tell us as collectively, people of average or less than average means, that we are subject to the most extensive level of accountability, while people of means experience the least? It kind of takes me back to that one story that was in the news a while back, where it was the young man, right? And he is a young man, but he got behind the wheel of a car and acted recklessly in a way that ended the lives of several other people. And the defense that was raised for him was, well, he's lived such a life of privilege, he's never known accountability. And why should he, right? He's not a serf. He's not a pauper. He's not a peasant. The lives of the peasants that he took, they're meaningless. Just like the files are showing that the lives of these young people who were sold into this system of world domination, their lives are meaningless. That's all I've really gathered out of this. Somebody could survive having their youth destroyed, having their world torn apart for the pleasures of someone without accountability. And all that really comes of it is that they're known and subject to more unreasonable harm. And so if we live in a feudal society, then I have to ask, is it reasonable? Is unreasonable harm actually reasonable? Is that the established culture? Is that the cultural norm of our society? Even in the cartoons, like if we look at it from the basis of a cartoon, the truth is that unreasonable injury, right? Absence of accountability is normal. And so world domination, unreasonable harm, these are rationale of a world that we actually live in. This is not an animation. This is not a cartoon. If we don't start to see people of means held accountable in society for the harms that they've done to hundreds, if not tens of millions, but hundreds of millions of people, then the ideas behind accountability, they are unreasonable. Then the law is unreasonable. Then law itself is unreasonable. Is the world that we live in a cartoon? The files that are released are proving the way that the law is even being circumvented to distribute the files to the people. Even the laws that are the way the laws are being circumvented to release the documents as intended in their true form, as prescribed by the law, is being circumvented. Look into it. So the law is being broken from the top. And if the law is being broken from the top, then what is the law? Then there is no law. Then there is no law. And what is the law? Who's held accountable in the law? What is accountability of the law? Somebody's gonna have to explain that to me. We live in a feudal society with knights and guns. We do battle on the streets. We do battle on the streets, and in return, we get crumbs. Get crumbs. Our life is about crumbs. Life is about crumbs. And in return for our labor, for our creativity, in return for these things, we get very little. We make others rich. And the ones that we make rich, they become bored by their success. They become bored by their wealth. They become bored by their resource. And as a result of all of these things, they become injurious. The law no longer applies. They stand above the law. They piss on the enforcers of law. They piss on the enforcers of law. They make the enforcers of law powerless. And if in doing so, if in establishing a feudal society, you are able to make enforcers of law powerless, to piss on the authority that is granted to an enforcer of the law by society, then there is no law. Then we live in a lawless society, and we live in a society of the flies. Lord of the flies. That is our society. Lord of the flies. We live in a feudal Lord of the Flies society. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. We live in a Lord of the Flies feudal type society. if what do they call it? It wasn't influence. I can't remember. It was influence Windsor or something. This kid who mowed several people down, driving his SUV tank like a maniac without control over his vehicle, sauced to the gills, can mow somebody down and be too rich to go to jail. They'll hurt him. He's too rich. Just like the others, the short-haired cretin that got moved from penal society to penal society, downgraded to a lush little camp where she runs things and controls things and can buy her way into a pardon. She's got the sauce to buy her way into a pardon. And so if we live in that society, then what is the law? The law is for people who can't network right. The law is for people who don't have enough money to network. And so I guess that's what we should all be expecting. When these issues of law come up, should we treat them as cartoons? What we're seeing is entertainment, just like the TV judges. Judy and Mathis and Joe Brown and Hot Court and all these other takes on the law. Is that what the law is? Somebody can let me know. For some, the law is real, but for others, it's a mere fabrication. It's virtually a layer of the Matrix. But anyhow, that's all I've got on this one. I'll catch you in the next one.